podium. Public Trust, Karen Kast-McBride, John Lerner, Edmund Scherfel, Chris Ho. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for letting me go first so I can get back to work. So I'm here wearing several hats. As most of you I think know, I am now one of the co-chairs of the Citywide Parent Council. So I'd just like to read a brief, I think the email was sent to everybody, but just in case anybody didn't get a chance to read it, I want to make sure that you're aware of our asks as the citywide voice for parents in Boston Public Schools and actually in other schools. So first, the Citywide Parent Council would like to reiterate our gratitude to the mayor for adding $4.7 million to the current budget proposal. However, as we're aware, much of the additional money has been allocated to fund positions in the central office and programming and does not offset the $26 million reduction that will have significant and very real impacts upon building level budgets at school in every city council district in the city. In light of these cuts, we urge you to insist that the funding be reallocated in the following ways. Recommendation 1 is to take $2.2 million for partial restoration of weighted student funding cuts for students with autism and emotional impairments. Recommendation number 2 is $1.2 million to support the rollout of the Excellence for All program. Recommendation 3 is to completely reverse all of the $900,000 cuts to the early learning centers. And just somebody had asked exactly how much would be left that the ELC, the West Zone ELC, would lose. Would still be, it's actually $430,000 that they're still losing, even with the $43,000 back. Recommendation 4 is $375,000 to support the superintendent's initiative to improve student safety. Now, ideally, obviously, we would ask that our city council demand that the mayor go further and add the additional $26 million necessary to restore all the cuts this decision on the BPS budget has made. If the mayor will not agree to the additional funding, then we would ask that you all vote no on the budget. To do so would be showing all of our current and potential BPS families that our city council highly values our Boston students. Of course, it would also revert us back to last year's budget, which would be horrific and make this much worse. Now, Mayor Walsh is correct, and this is ongoing. I'm no longer the CPC co-chair here for a minute, because I don't want them getting in trouble for anything I say. Mayor Walsh is correct that this is the BPS's largest budget ever. However, what he fails to mention is that, since the founding of public education right here in Boston, every year our budget has gone up. It isn't news. We know it's going to happen. It's called inflation. It happened. The fact is that, his 1.3% or 1.8% budget increase now is well below many prior years' budget increases. So we need to take that into account too. Now, for several years, myself and others have asked BPS for a full, detailed, itemized, line-by-line budget. This has not happened. This needs to change, and it needs to be out on the website for every single person to see. The fact that it doesn't is amazing to me. Now, without a doubt, we need to explore more deeply how to reallocate funds when it comes to the BPS budget. However, this year's reallocations have led to cuts that will harm our students. The cuts that have been made this year were a value choice by the administration of Boston Public Schools and other parties that are involved in planning for BPS. These weren't cuts that needed to be made. These were choices that were made. Just like when I make a choice that I can either, pay my bills or end up out on the the street. These are choices we make. The areas that were chosen this year have a significant impact on some of our most vulnerable students and families. We need to think about why these cuts were made this way this year. A compromise I would like to suggest, and this is just my personal suggestion at this point, that may be more palatable to everybody involved, our students, families, schools, BPS, city councilors, and hey, even Mayor Marty Walsh may like this, is that in addition to the soft landing funding that they are providing in a small portion of schools, that we look at that possibility across the board. It may mean that he might have to put back $10 million or $16 million for the schools that are most drastically impacted. But this is the breakdown of what I'm asking of the city council in order. Because I'll be honest, as somebody who's done this for 24 years, there's only been one time that I've seen the budget almost held up. And it took until 11:45 p.m., June 30th, 2002, to pass the city budget because we had enough city councilors that were willing to stand for the students of Boston. So I have a feeling that I would like to see all of you stand for the students, but I also think a lot of you don't want to be the ones that held up the budget here or in the state. So this is a compromise that I would suggest. This has not been run by anybody, run through anyone else but me. So I would ask that we require that BPS allocate the funds as outlined in the CPC's recommendation, because that will go directly to students as opposed to directly to the bowling building. I almost said Court Street, sorry. Advocate to Mayor Walsh for the city to provide the soft landing money that I just mentioned to schools for the next year to address the cuts which impact BPS students directly by working with the City Council Education Committee, CPC and SPEDPAC leaders to identify the school cuts needing said funding, other than those outlined above. Require that BPS provide a complete line-by-line budget breakdown on its website, and request the BPS and the mayor's office with CPC and other officially recognized groups, SPEDPAC, the ELL group, designees as full team members, not, oh, we'll have you come in for a meeting, tell you a little bit, and then you go on your way. Delve into the BPS budget to identify areas where reallocations are absolutely needed or should be made to ensure that every possible dollar truly benefits our students and gives them a high-quality education. And I want to go to something that was said about the $20,000. That's too much to spend on my children. I have a real problem with that, because I know parents who spend $50,000, $60,000 to send their children to the private schools, and if I could afford to do that, maybe I would have. My children have special needs, all three of them. They need to be in BPS, because despite it all, BPS is the best place to be for special ed in the country. So we need to think about that. We also need to stop the nonsense of the $20,000. I don't know if people just have no sense of how a business is run, but a business is run, you have an operating budget, you have costs, you have charts, you have 3 different budgets generally. BPS is the same way. We have a budget of the money that actually goes to the schools. That's the weighted student funding. We have a piece of the budget that is the operations. We have transportation. We all know that. It does not, yes, if I just take $57,700 and divide it into 1.27 billion, absolutely it's $20,000. But I'm really tired of the fact that our own city officials don't understand the difference between $20,000 divided by 57,000, and the fact that 57,000 students are actually allocated 5,200 to 7,200 to their schools per year per pupil as the base amount that is spent on our children every year to educate them. So I would ask that be kind of, maybe we need a little, primer on that next year. So these are our asks. And I would like to just add, as the former chair of the FedPAC, it SpedPAC sent a letter, and I'm not going to speak for Carolyn Kane, but it was very clear from the letter that I've seen that they very clearly said that they're not okay with this budget. They're going to deal with what they have to deal with. But if there's any idea by any of you that the SpedPAC is okay with this budget, the parents in the SpedPAC are not okay. I don't believe Ms. Kane is okay with it. I don't believe anybody is. So please take these things into account, and I will email you my testimony. And again, thank you. And now I'm going back to help at the state level.